Welcome, everybody, to Philadelphia. A beautiful day in Philly, but not nearly the temperatures we left in Miami when it was about 80. Here in Philly, it's in the high 40s, but an opening day nonetheless. The 15th season of Citizens Bank Park here in Philly. The fans are out, they are enthusiastic, and they are ready for baseball in 2018 in Philadelphia, and so are we. With that, we say hello again, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth. Yeah, it's a little chillier, but big deal. It's another opening day. It's our second one of the season, and again, all the pageantry still the same.
A lot of fun, a lot of enthusiasm here. Obviously, the Philadelphia Phillies and everybody celebrating this opening day, their opening day. So, yeah, there's a lot of exciting things going on. A sea of red here in the ballpark with this Marlins team. They've been playing pretty good baseball. This should be a fun one this afternoon.
They have, and the first guy that we'll see out there on the field today for the Marlins digging in the box is Lewis Brinson. We know what he can do with the bat and in the field, and now we'll see if he can take what he was doing in Miami on the road.
I think Lewis Brinson epitomizes what this Marlins team is all about, what we've seen through the first six games of the season. Great defense, some timely hitting, some big moments on offense, and maybe a few struggles along the way. This team is growing, and they're learning, and they're doing it pretty quick. You think of who they played over that 6-game homestand going up against the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs. Brinson's glove did not disappoint. Number of great catches. You saw the home run that he brought back against Mookie Betts right there. So again, this team has got a lot of fight in them. They're a little different, offensively than they were last season. But I'll tell you, they're showing up to the park, ready to play every day and going out to execute a good game plan and giving themselves a chance to win a baseball game.
And Brinson had a 4-hit game on Friday night. That was that 17-inning affair. So between Brinson's 4 hits, the late night or early morning heroics from Miguel Rojas, you forget that it was actually Caleb Smith who started that game and was really good.
I think Caleb Smith really is the one that got this all moving in the right direction. When you think back to how well the Marlins pitched throughout the homestand, you saw the balance between a good fastball, a good changeup, and a great slider. Kind of that equalizer. A lot of times we'll see guys wanting to come out, young players in particular, wanting to establish that fastball early. First time through the lineup, second time you'll see the slider and changeup. Caleb Smith came out, and in that first inning against the Chicago Cubs, really went after him, set up all 3 of his pitches. It became the norm for the Marlins, both the guys in the bullpen and the rest of that rotation, and they pitched very well throughout the homestand.
A bulldog mentality for him, which will certainly be on display this afternoon in Philadelphia. On the other side, it's Nick Pivetta. This is his 28th Major League start, and now 5th against the Marlins.
That's right. He made 3 starts in about the last 6 weeks of the season against this Marlins team. They're familiar with him. Pivetta's got a good fastball. His wipeout pitch is that slider. He's changed his game plan a little bit, but I like to go to the numbers on this one. He struggled mightily against the Marlins in 2 starts here at Citizens Bank Ballpark last season to the tune of an 18-plus ERA.
The Marlins begin their road portion of the season here in Philadelphia, and also open up their divisional series as well. Opening day in Philadelphia, always special, even if it's a bit chilly. Back to the city of brotherly love in a moment. Day. They've been jazzed up for a while, ever since the Super Bowl when Doug Peterson led the charge for the Philadelphia Eagles, winning a Super Bowl and wearing a Roy Halladay jersey as well. A hat tip certainly to the great Roy Halladay, who pitched here in Philadelphia for a number of years. Not only was he just phenomenal every fifth day, but even great a couple of times on given nights, like this no-hitter that he threw in the division series. And then you go back earlier that season, a perfect game against the then Florida Marlins. A guy who was certainly at the top of his game, one of, if not the best pitchers of his generation. A moment of silence for the late Roy Halladay before the game today. A special moment, a solemn moment, but certainly for the Philadelphia Phillies, a very special moment prior to their opener. Roy Halladay gone too soon. Back to Philly in a moment. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by your local Toyota dealer. Toyota. Go places. Going places for the first time in the 2018 season. First road trip for the Miami Marlins, and it's a short one. Got the day game today, an off day tomorrow, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon before heading back. 46 degrees, 18-mile-an-hour wind, and I will certainly agree, chilly. However, not the coldest game that the Marlins have ever played. 43 degrees in 2002 and 2003 here in Philadelphia. So when you look at the temperatures when the Marlins play here in Philly, yeah, I mean, then 29 degrees in the World Series. You got enough adrenaline going for that game. I'm sure it doesn't feel like 29. Maybe. Spoken like a guy who was bundled up watching that one. Don Mattingly bundled up for today, too. And as we talked about in the open, Donnie would like to see this team continue that aggressiveness, that competitiveness, home or road, it doesn't matter.
Well, the defense can't quit. The pitching has been good so far. You want to see it continue, and that's what it comes down to. That's who this Marlins team is going to be this year, and you're certainly hoping to see it here in Philadelphia, a place where the Marlins have, over some time, struggled.
And there is Gabe Kapler, first season as the manager here, just 1-4. Certainly not the start that he or the Phillies, and certainly from what we heard during introductions, the Philly fans would have liked to see. Of course, it is early in his go-round for being the skipper here in Philadelphia. And I know that we'll talk about this as the game and certainly this series unfolds. But he gives the ball to Nick Pivetta, who, again, has seen an awful lot of the Miami Marlins. And, well, hasn't exactly fared very well against the Marlins. Here's today's lineups presented to you by Southwest. Lewis Brinson at the top, hitting .226, but he did that 4-hit game on Friday night. And a guy like Starlin Castro still sitting on 99 career home runs. So we'll see if he's able to reach that milestone here in Philadelphia. Again, a short 3-game road trip before we head back south. And As I blow into my hands here to stay warm, not a moment too soon on Sunday afternoon. Those are the numbers for Nick Pivetta in his second big league season.
You see the bloated ERA, 6.04. One thing he did particularly well was pitch here at Citizens Bank Ballpark, 3.90 ERA. Here's the kicker. That's against everybody that isn't named the Marlins. 2 starts against the Marlins last year, 8.47 ERA and a 4.69 batting average against. Now, the Marlins haven't played well here in their history, but I'll tell you what, they've had Pivetta's number. They had it here last year, and they put some big offensive performances on the field.
Lewis Brinson digs in, and another season here at Citizens Bank Park is underway. First pitch swinging for Brinson, fouled right back towards us, and it is an 0-1 count.
Well, let me give you some conditions for the ball game today. We see these flags, and they are howling from left to right. That's how the wind is playing. It's going to be very difficult to get a ball out to left field today. To right, it appears to be jumping.
Brinson on the homestand was 7 for 31, 3 runs scored and an RBI, but stellar defense as well. Swings and fouls this one down the right field side and into the seats. The ball and 2 strikes.
One thing we've seen from Brinson in the early going, solid 2-strike approach. Goes up the middle, goes the other way, shortens up just a little bit.
Buckled on the breaking ball, and strikeout number 1 for Nick Pivetta.
Here's your Auto Nation scouting report of Nick Pivetta, 6'5", 220 pounds. It's a familiar face. Marlins faced him 4 times last season, 3 in a 3-week stretch in August and September, so they're very familiar with him. He did get roughed up, as I mentioned a couple of times here. 6 earned runs in one of those starts, 7 in the other. Now, the elevated fastball. At some point, you're going to see that today from Pivetta. He's really trying to work on elevating his fastball inside the strike zone. Right-handed hitters had his number last year. They hit .308 against him with 20 home runs. You see the low zone now, a couple of fastballs down at the knees. And the last one is his out pitch. You saw it against Brinson. That curveball slider combination, very, very big for him. He actually got 72 swing and misses on the pitch last season, and hitters hit 188 against that slider. So again, game plan for Pivetta. Move the fastball around the strike zone. Look for the slider if you fall behind.
Dietrich out toward left center field. Moving over is Rhys Hoskins, who puts that one away in left center for out number 2.
Let's take a look at the Philadelphia Phillies defensively behind Pivetta today by Sylvester. Hoskins in the left field. Odubel Herrera in center. Kinger gets the start in right. He has not played a whole lot of right field all the way back to his days in Arizona. Franco, Crawford, Hernandez, and Santana. 3 years, $60 million deal for Santana. Alfaro behind the plate for Pivetta.
And now it's Starlin Castro. Had himself a really nice start to the season. 9 for his first 28. 4 runs scored, a double, and 4 RBIs to get right up to 500 in his career. And 1 homer shy of 100.
For me and Starlin Castro in the first 6 ball games, knowing Starlin for as long as I have, what's impressed me the most is that .424 on base percentage. He's walked 5 times already this season. He walked 23 times all of last year. Loves facing the Phillies, particularly this ballpark. .352. He's hitting 16 and 19 ball games here.
Nick Pivetta, a Vancouver, British Columbia youngster, grew up, loved watching Roy Halladay pitch for the Toronto Blue Jays, so somewhat fitting that he starts mere moments after a moment of silence for Roy Halladay. A base hit over the head of Carlos Santana. Yet another knock for Starlin Castro. 2-out base hit here in the first.
Find a hole in defense sometimes. Gets jammed, able to pull the hands in and fight it off. Shoots it over Santana's head. This not crushed. It's perfectly placed. Marlins in business with a base runner here in the first. That'll bring up big Justin Bohr. 182 on the homestand. A double, a couple of RBIs. Had some real nice at-bats against Chris Sale his last game.
Swing the infield way around to the right side against Justin Bohr, and certainly typical against Justin Bohr. But again, as this game and series unfolds, we'll talk about the, I don't know if unconventional now with the way that the game has been going, but some of the questionable moves by some of the folks in and around the Philadelphia Phillies fan base in these first 5 games. But they will employ a lot of shifts. They will move guys around. In fact, just yesterday, they had a right fielder playing really shallow in right field. Ball hit over his head, and I know that was all over the newspapers and talk radio here in Philadelphia for one of a couple of things that caught the attention of the fan base of the Philadelphia Phillies under first-year skipper Gabe Kapler.
Well, they believe what they believe. They're going to put in some extreme shifts, and they believe that it creates an opportunity to make plays. You see the elevated fastball from Pivetta, as I mentioned in the AutoNation scouting report. A big pitch for him now. Traditionally go to the top of the zone too often. Stay down at the knees. Paired that with his secondary pitches. He wants to go up there a little bit more. He was working on that in spring training.
1-2 to Bohr.
Take. They believe over time that the overshifting, you want to call it that, or extreme shifting, is in some cases it's been extreme, much like yesterday, that they believe in the long run it's going to pay dividends.
Bohr with a high chop up the middle. Throw from behind the bag. J.P. Crawford over to first to retire Justin Bohr. Through a half inning here on opening day in Philly. Scoreless. Opening day for the Philadelphia Phillies, and this is the lineup set forth by their first-year skipper Gabe Kapler. It's presented to you by Southwest. This is a Phillies offense that has just 14 runs scored on the young season, tied for the 3rd fewest in Major League Baseball, and hitting at a 183 clip. That's 29th. Again, it's only a few days, so nobody's going nuts. Well, it is Philadelphia. Maybe they are going nuts. I'm not sure. They,
did you hear the boos in the opening?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
They're going nuts.
Yeah, they are going nuts. Yeah. First week did not sit well. As the first pitch from Caleb Smith is outside. Second time in the regular season that we have seen Caleb Smith again was stellar against the Cubs on Friday night. 1 run and 4 hits, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts over 5 1/3. That was the day that the night rather that went deep into the morning. In fact, around 12:30 is when Miguel Rojas notched that game-winning knock to center field. 17 innings. Marlins' first victory of the season, but again, it was Smith that started the game and set the tone, really, as you said in the open, for kind of, I don't want to say that set the tone for the mindset, but certainly continued where this mindset of this team is going.
It felt like a little bit of follow the leader is what it felt like, and what we saw from Caleb Smith was the ability to mix his pitches, and you know the dividends they paid off. He struck out 8 guys since 2014, most strikeouts by a Marlins starter in his debut. I mean, it catches your attention. Dylan Peters did it last year as well. Caleb Smith, good stuff. What else stood out? Retired 5 of the first 6 guys, those leading guys in innings. Did that 5 of 6 times. He set himself up for success. Threw his fastball for strikes around the zone, commanded both corners. Good changeup, really good slider, and again was effective with those secondary pitches.
Cesar Hernandez takes outside. That's ball 4. Today's starting defense is brought to you by Sylvester Comprehensive Cancer Center.
And here are your Marlins defensively. Dietrich back in left field, Brinson in center, Maben in right field today. Anderson, Rojas, Castro, and Bohr. Halladay behind the plate for Caleb Smith. Defense has been outstanding through 6 games. Carlos Santana 3 for 18 on the season, does have a home run, 3 RBIs, 3 walks.
And 2 hits shy of 1,000 in his career. He will eventually get there in a Phillies uniform thanks to a 3-year, $60 million contract. Also a club option in there. Signed that a week or so before Christmas in December. And it was that move, Todd, that really started people thinking, well, maybe the Phillies are going to go all in this year. Some thought, well, okay, they're building, not a lot of money on the books. People, of course, where's the money going to come from next offseason? Somebody's going to have to pay the likes of Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. Why not the Phils? They're not really tied to an awful lot. But then Santana, Sunday's scheduled starter Jake Arrieta. People started to think, well, maybe the Phillies are going to go for it this year.
Wouldn't you agree? It's been a bit of a pattern, I think, to the Houston Astros, even the Chicago Cubs when they signed John Lester. You know, creating a credibility. People understand the rebuilding of an organization as the Phillies kind of unwound themselves from when they won the championship, wanted to get younger, redevelop the minor league system, but at some point you have to validate yourself once again. I don't necessarily say everybody's got to do it through free agency. It's just that it seems that that's the path, and it creates a credibility. So if you're a Phillies fan, and you know you saw Rhys Hoskins last year, and you saw some of the good young talent that you've got coming, on the pitching staff, you say, well, maybe we take a couple steps forward this year. But then you sign a Santana and you bring in an Arrieta, and that conversation accelerates itself. They believe that you're all in, willing to take the next step, willing to spend some money. It's not going to be just about developing players and getting them up to the big leagues like the guy on deck. Look at him in a second.
Two to the Phillies' first baseman. That one is knocked down by Brian Halladay. No advance for Hernandez over at first base. The count runs full. Halladay starting behind home plate today for Caleb Smith. Of course, the Marlins still awaiting the return of JT Realmuto, who's working his way back from a lower back issue. Doesn't sound like it's going to be anything too long term, as we keep saying. Just 3-4 days ago, started his
his work back behind the plate with some catching drills. Out toward right center field. Cameron Maben puts it away on the edge of the track, and there's one out.
Pretty good example of the athleticism the Marlins possess in the outfield. All off the bat of Santana, split the gap perfectly. Maben, nice job closing. Santana drives it into right center field, and you see, after that baseball rather easily.
I know Brinson played for the Brewers for a little while last year, but I can't imagine too many games where Lewis Brinson was playing in conditions like this down in Coral Springs. High 40s, windy.
Well, I definitely didn't play in these conditions in Milwaukee.
No.
In a roof.
There's Scott Kingery, drafted by the Phillies in 2015.
Kingery represents what's to come, right?
Yep.
That's kind of the combination. Maybe if you look at the Phillies right now, their last two hitters, Santana, the free agent, Kingery, the young man, comes through the system, puts up big numbers as he did last year in AAA. Before he gets to the big leagues, the Phillies say, hey, you know what? Are you interested in doing a really long-term deal? He says, you better believe I am.
Skies this one out to Brinson. Now has to charge in. Dealing with the sun, but puts away for out number 2. 6 years and $24 million to Scott Kingery.
Not an at-bat at the major league level.
I think it's fair to say they knew what they had in the guy and they liked it. And I think baseball knows what the Phillies have in the next young man to step to the dish, and Rhys Hoskins.
Well, the Marlins know too. Way too
Far
familiar.
too much, yeah.
Way too familiar with Rhys Hoskins. This 25-year-old has been a thorn in the Marlins side already. He's only played a few games short of 60 at the major league level. Hoskins, the hottest guy in this Phillies lineup. Be very careful today. 8 for 17. He's hit in all 5 games, has a home run already, 3 doubles. Got a 4-game home run streak against the Marlins. You see the shift being deployed. Yes, more times than not, the front foot from Hoskins is down on time.
Yeah,
10 games, 8 home runs.
This is a guy you circle when you're looking at video, trying to scout, how can we get this guy out?
Well, the numbers are so strong, you think they're a mistake, a typo.
2-0 from Smith. And now 3 balls and no strikes. I know that it's early, but Rhys Hoskins is entering the day at a .471 batting average. That's best in baseball. Second in on-base percentage at .550. So picking up right where the California man left off last season. And it really wasn't a fluke with this guy either. I mean, if you just look at his minor league numbers, in 2015, 25 home runs, 2016, 38. Before the call-up last year, 29 home runs at AAA, and then 18 in the big leagues. Yet another youngster who, as soon as he puts on a big league uniform, is able to excel. We've been blessed with a lot of players like that in the last few years. He doesn't chase that one. And it's the second walk of the inning for Caleb Smith. 2 on and 2 out for Odubel Herrera.
Well, who can blame Caleb Smith for being selective as he was on those 5 pitches, working around the strike zone against Hoskins? He's got a lefty in the on-deck circle in Herrera. 2 outs. You know, you put a runner into scoring position, still I think the smart play. Herrera 2 for 13 on the season.
Also good numbers against the Marlins for Herrera, but nobody's numbers as good as Hoskins. The pitch to Herrera, he chases that one, and it's 0-1. A .320 hitter with a couple of home runs and 14 RBIs in 47 games against the Miami Marlins. So he has had some success. just 2 for 13 in 4 games on the road trip.
Caleb Smith has yet to surrender a base hit to a left-handed hitter. Again, another reason why we go after Herrera as opposed to Hoskins.
Both Hernandez and Hoskins reaching on a walk here in the first inning. Glad you're with us here in Philadelphia. It's been a busy day in Philadelphia. Had the National Championship Parade for Villanova running through the streets of Philly. Opening day here at Citizens Bank Park. And the Flyers play later across the street. So morning, noon, and night. Lots of sports action here in as you would attest, a great sports city.
Great sports city. Rumor has it you were bumping elbows with Sylvester Stallone this morning. Is that true?
I mean, I don't want to brag that I was working out with Rocky today or anything, but since you twisted my arm.
I thought you were messing around with me when you texted me this morning and say I'm working out with Sly. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. See you at the ballpark.
Yeah.
I'm up in the lobby and there goes Sylvester Stallone, walks right by me. Like, wait a minute, he wasn't right.
The check at second. Hernandez is back. Yeah, our first road trip, I was all jazzed up to go in the gym and work out with you. And then you were done early because you're an animal. Me, not so much. Well, I go there and I love you, man, but I one-upped you. Working out with you would be cool, but to be in the gym with Rocky, that's pretty solid.
My understanding is they're filming Creed 2 right now.
That's right.
Stallone is a big part of that.
Inside to Herrera, and the count now 3 balls and a strike.
Smith struggling a bit with the command. More balls than strikes. The walks in the first.
It's Michael Franco.
Well, this is part of the patience the Philadelphia Phillies have shown this season. You mentioned the fact that they've only scored 14 runs. Yes, third fewest in the big leagues so far, but they are seeing pitches, Paul. 4.33 pitches per plate appearance. It hasn't translated into runs yet. Marlins would like to keep that narrative going. But they are definitely showing some patience. A few guys in this lineup that have been struggling outside of Hoskins. They believe at some point the walks will add up to runs.
Yeah, coming into this game, they've seen a total of 829 pitches in 189 plate appearances. You referenced the most in the major leagues thus far. So again, maybe all that approach all goes back to the heightened sabermetric philosophies here for the Phillies in 2018. They'll throw behind Hoskins at second base, but he's back.
Be careful with Kel Franco. He will jump on a first pitch. He is the one in this lineup. Certainly familiar with him. He thinks he's got you cornered and you're bringing a fastball, there's a good chance he'll be swinging. Does have some power. Back-to-back seasons of 20-plus home runs. Nice pitch at the knees. We've talked already about how the Phillies narrative might go this season, off to a 1-4 start. They've had some struggles, but I think here in Philadelphia, people really do believe with Santana and Arrieta on board, this team's going to play a lot better baseball. Franco chases one that was way out in front of home plate. Getting back to a player like Mikel Franco, I really believe the Phillies will only go as far as a player like Herrera or a player like Franco helps carry them. I mean, these are the Hoskins. I think we all know this guy's for real. He's got power. We're going to see it all season long. He's already showing it. Arrieta will be Jake Arrieta. Santana will be Santana. But the complementary pieces, for me, Maikel Franco is one of them. He's got to be more than he's been over the last couple seasons.
With the long-term deal for Scott Kingery, some think this might be a bit of a make-or-break season for Maikel Franco. Mentioned the fact that not a lot of money is on the books for the Phillies in the coming years. Potential free agents, Manny Machado, Josh Donaldson. Maybe the Phillies are going to be active. A long way from worrying about that.
I think you're spot on with that idea. 733 OPS in 2016, 690 OPS Franco last season. So you're right. This could very well be a make or break year for him if he does not perform. Kingery, we know he's on board for a while. So he's going to be an answer for the Philadelphia Phillies. And right now he's a little bit of a man without a position. I don't think he's necessarily their ideal right fielder. Nick Williams, I'm sure, will be out there before long. But Kingery needs a more regular spot.
Franco, line drive, base hit into left field. That's going to bring home Hernandez. Here comes Hoskins. The throw is not in time. It's a 2-out single for Maikel Franco. And it's 2-0 Phillies.
Now the patience, Maikel Franco, after chasing a breaking ball early in this count for the Philadelphia Phillies, 3 walks in the inning, pays off. Going to load up the bases, earn a predictable fastball, 2-2 count, elevated. Franco drives it to left field for the Philadelphia Phillies. Those runners moving. They want to be aggressive on the bases, and you see it as Hoskins slides in. Really 2-0 lead for the Philadelphia Phillies.
They loaded the bases on 3 walks. That was their first hit of the inning. And now it's Jorge Alfaro. Going to see the 30th pitch of the first inning for Caleb Smith, and it misses, ball 1. Alfaro behind the plate this afternoon, 1 for 7. 0 for his last 5. Splitting some time with Andrew Knapp. Again, one of those matchup scenarios for the Philadelphia Phillies, just trying to optimize the matchups, as they say. Alfaro came over from the Texas Rangers when the Phillies parted ways with Cole Hamels a couple of years ago. 1-1. Fouls it straight back. 1-2. Alfaro made his first opening day roster. A guy who's been a top prospect in this organization since coming over from the Rangers, but didn't start on opening day as he stays alive. One of those situations, decisions that left Phillies fans scratching their heads after opening day. How come no Odubel Herrera? How come no Jorge Alfaro? And already Harlan Garcia is loosening in the Marlins bullpen with 33 pitches for Caleb Smith. Number 34 will be a 1-2 pitch to Alfaro. Swing and a miss, strike 3. So 3 walks in the inning, but the big hit from Maikel Franco. A 2-run single has the Phillies up 2-0. 2-0 deficit for the Marlins as we go to the top of the second inning. It's chilly. Temperatures in the high 40s. Winds approaching 20 miles an hour. At least the game started on time. We'll see how Saturday goes. Forecast is not great for Saturday. They, of course, as most Northeast or Northern clubs do on their first homestand, they'll work in that scheduled off day. So a game today. After the off day yesterday, another off day tomorrow, which is supposed to be a nice day. And then Saturday doesn't look so promising. But we'll see. Brian Anderson, Cameron Maben, and Miguel Rojas due up as Anderson down the right field line, foul. Anderson was 8 for 25 on the homestand, 6 runs scored, a double, his first big league home run, and 6 RBIs.
He's hitting 5 of 6 career games versus the Phillies already. Remember, he was up here in September. Did a pretty nice job. 4 for 8. In fact, faced Pivetta. Hit against him already. On that foul ball, we got a pretty good example of how hard the wind is blowing. Off the bat, Brian Anderson thought that ball would stay fair, as did I. That ended up being fouled by a good 5 or 6 feet.
Those flags are stiff out there in left center with the
what's left of them.
The pennants, that's right.
It's like they've been wrapped around the pole a few times.
Excuse me, swing out to second. And Anderson is retired, 1 out. Hit it out of the park with a family-friendly deal on Sunday, April 15th, when the Marlins take on the Pirates at 1 p.m. Pick up the Aquafina Family 4-pack and score 4 tickets, 4 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs, and 4 Pepsi soft drinks or Aquafina waters, starting at just $84. Get your tickets at marlins.com/offers.
A good start to the season for Cameron Maben. 3-game hitting streak going, 6 for his last 13.
Really cool yesterday. The team did something nice for him. Odrisamer Despaigne. We get on the plane and boom, there's a birthday cake. Celebrated his birthday yesterday, 31 years old. Off to a good start, as Todd mentioned, at the plate and certainly out in right field. There it is. It's a good thing it didn't get back to our seat, because I would have crushed it. Called strike 3, 2 outs here in the second.
Maybe a good dose of breaking pitches going on. Got a spot on with the slider this afternoon.
And now Miguel Rojas. Six for 24 on the homestand, a run, a couple of doubles, the RBI in the 17th inning on Friday night. Also stole his first base of the 2018 season.
Two for 4 against Pivetta last season, so some history. Not a lot. On most given days, this young Marlins offense does not possess a whole lot of history against just about anybody in baseball. Certainly different than last year, where numbers were piling up. We play these teams 18 times a season.
I mean, you obviously watch a lot of film on the next day's starting pitcher, or whatever the case might be, but is there a number of at-bats before you actually feel like you got a guy?
Well, you really want to see, obviously, where his release point. I've talked about this an awful lot to Marlins fans. I mean, seeing is believing. In this day and age where we talk numbers and information in really big books with all sorts of stories to tell, defensive positioning and pitch sequencing, I mean, we can throw so much information at these players, but really the greatest thing that they can have is their vision. And the first time they get in the box, you got to pick up the release point. You got to feel the fastball, and you'll hear hitters talk like that. I'll say, what does it feel like when you get in the box? Some guys throw 92, it feels like 95. big breaking ball at the top of the strike zone. Some guys throw 95 and it feels like 88. It's really the truth. It's when you pick up the baseball, how well you can react to it. And then I'll add, and this is why I say it's typically more than one at bat, you also need to see the secondary pitches a few different times. I mean, that's a weapon that a lot of bullpen guys have over the hitters, is that you don't see them so often. Really, it's about executing pitches. Some of the guys that you may see it, and I think that's why we go back to the 17-inning ball game when we talk about Eddie Butler and Harlan Garcia, why everybody was so impressed with what both of them brought to the table, was they went through the lineup 3 times, both of them, and got great results. Bullpen guys, it's about, bringing that to the table, but knowing that you're only going to face that guy probably one time. You're not going to go through a lineup usually and see 9 hitters. Nice job by Rojas. Seeing him time and time again battle with 2 strikes, using those hands, staying inside the baseball.
Pivetta got Anderson to ground out, Maben to strike out. And he fans Rojas to go 1-2-3 here in the second. Through an inning and a half in Philly. It's 2-0 Philadelphia. Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. And lots of cold gear here in Philly. The concourse out there in the outfield. Beautiful ballpark. And certainly alive today for the first time in 2018. Opening day. Seen some Utley jerseys. Also saw a Papelbon jersey right in front of us too. This man Nick Pivetta once traded for Jonathan Papelbon a couple of years back, originally drafted by the Washington Nationals. As Pivetta digs in, 8-9-1 for the Philadelphia Phillies. That's right, Pivetta hitting in the 8th spot today and retired for the second strikeout for Caleb Smith. J.P. Crawford next, and then the top of the order in Cesar Hernandez.
Well, for Caleb Smith and this Marlins team, certainly want to keep things in play, meaning we don't need another big inning. You're not looking for another 33-pitch inning. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but the way that they've played this season, they've got to give this offense a chance to get going. The way Pivetta's throwing the baseball right now, not a whole lot of hard contact. We'd really like to see some shutdown innings from Smith. Offered off to a slow start, 1 for 15.
There's two ways to look at it, right? There's the one way when you talk about the pitcher hitting 8th is that, well, the way that it lines up, well, now we've got 2 leadoff guys. As he chops this one up the middle, Rojas, low arm slot over to Bohr, a nice play for out number 2. But as the position player hitting 9th, is there a bit of an ego that takes a hit there, that you're hitting behind the pitcher?
I think, Paul, good question for about 3 years ago. I think that might have been a little different story, but you're seeing this more and more where you've got a speedster, somebody who might be a little light with the bat, whether you kind of put him in the 8th spot or the 9th spot in the lineup. But you understand Crawford's going to kind of act as a second leadoff man. Now he needs to put up better numbers than 1 for 15, but that's the point. You got some speed, you got some opportunity there to get something going with Carlos Hernandez and Santana and Kingery at the top of the lineup.
Hernandez takes a look at ball 2. He walked and scored back in the 1st inning. 3 walks in that inning, and the big hit from Michael Franco, a 2 RBI single. That's how the Phillies have a 2-0 lead, but a strike there from Smith to make it 2-1. And now the 3-1 pitch misses outside. For the 2nd time today, Hernandez has drawn a free pass. The 4th walk of the day for Caleb Smith.
And what's been concerning with a couple of these walks is the ease in which the hitter has been able to get the walk. A good example from Hernandez there. His last 2 pitches nowhere near the strike zone. Easy takes for the hitter.
45 pitches through an inning and 2/3. Here is number 46. Carlos Santana takes upstairs. Santana flew out to Cameron Maben in right field back in the 1st inning. Just 3 for 19, the home run, the 3 RBIs. His first home game now in Philadelphia.
Santana hard hit ball to right field his first time. 3-2 pitch. Caleb Smith behind 2-0. On the second at bat. Smith's really hanging out at the top of the strike zone. I've seen his misses at or above the belt a number of times.
Two and one. They have broken his bat to short. Rojas the short way. And Caleb Smith strands the runner here in the second. A bit of a bounce back in inning number 2. 2-0 Phillies.
mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by T-Mobile. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go.
The Liberty Bell here in Philadelphia. Glad you're back with us on a Thursday afternoon. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth. The Roy Halladay will lead things off against Nick Pivetta. We went 1-2-3 back in the second, a couple of strikeouts, 3 on the afternoon. He's got Halladay, Caleb Smith, and then to the top of the order in Lewis Brinson. Due up here on opening day at Citizens Bank Park. Chilly, windy day here in the city of brotherly love. The 0-1 to Halladay. That slider misses outside. 1-1.
Halladay has never faced the Philadelphia Phillies before. A whole lot of knowledge either direction.
It's been Halladay and Chad Wallach getting the playing time behind home plate. I mentioned before, I may have gotten sidetracked a bit, but JT Realmuto in the last 3 days, 4 days, has begun his catching drills again. So the hope is to have him back. There's no official timetable on that, as Halladay has struck out 3 consecutive strikeouts over the last couple of innings here for Pivetta, 4 on the day.
You see the target at the top of the strike zone. Well, we're going to show it to you. He actually ended up missing down at the knees. Picked up the strikeout.
Caleb Smith takes outside. Yeah, that's one of the things that the Phillies, you talk about the upper half of the strike zone, bottom half of the strike zone, where he's trying to attack hitters, as he misses low there to Caleb Smith. Last year he averaged 94.7 miles an hour for his fastball, right? But a lot of those targets were middle, lower half of the strike zone. So the Phillies told him, go watch Justin Verlander. See how he pitches up in the strike zone. And Verlander thrives up in the strike zone.
With the four-seam fastball, which happens to be Pivetta's specialty.
Right. Obviously Verlander with that high spin rate, so it stays up. It gives that rising sort of feel. Even though all those who study physics know that ain't the case. Me, I'll believe anything, as you would attest. But yeah, I mean and that seems to be coming back too in vogue, is that high fastball. Smith strikes out, 5 on the day for Pivetta.
Clearly, Pivetta needed to make an adjustment based on the 26 starts he made last year. There were some striking numbers that caught your attention, particularly the success right-handed hitters had against him. As I mentioned, 308 with 20 of the 25 home runs he surrendered were to the righties. He actually had very good numbers against the left-handed hitters. Slugging percentage against the four-seam fastball, and it's a good fastball, as you mentioned, using it at the top of the zone, also still working it down in the zone. Again, it's not just living up there, it's just effectively going to the top of the zone. But the slugging percentage against his four-seam fastball last year, up above 550.
And again, that's the thing, if you possess, as he does, that four-seam fastball that can be dominant at times, all this launch angle business and the bat paths that are going in the bottom half of the strike zone, you're going away from where the strengths are coming from. Well, his strength today has been the strikeout. That is 6 for him. Huge crowds here at Citizens Bank Park for opening day in Philly. Bottom of the third inning, Paul Severino, Todd Hollandsworth, Scott Kingery, Rhys Hoskins, and Odubel Herrera due up here in the third inning against Caleb Smith. His 50th pitch of the afternoon misses low to Kingery, who flew out to center field in the first inning. Mentioned the 6-year, $24 million contract that Kingery signed. He's also got option years on the back end of that for 2024, 25, 26. And that contract that he signed gives him the most guaranteed money ever for an amateur drafted player who had never played in the big leagues. But what he did was have a nice spring. Off to a decent start here.
We've seen examples of this throughout the game over the last few seasons. You just hope it pays off. You're betting on the player. You're betting not only on who he is, what his makeup is, what you believe his numbers will be at the major league level, but you're also, you see ball 4, as Smith continues to struggle with the strike zone. You're also betting on the makeup of the player, that he's going to continue to grow at the major league level, learn, grow, improve, get better. And that over time, you're going to earn that money back because this player is going to become an answer for you, an everyday answer in some capacity. This isn't just a hope, but I mean, again, and it hasn't always worked out. There's enough examples of a lot of money, especially internationally, that has been fronted to some players. Those players have not performed, and organizations end up eating that money. But I believe in this case, you're probably going to see Kingery hang around and have some success. I think he's a real nice fit here, and they really do believe that he is a building block for them.
As is this young man right here, Rhys Hoskins, who walked and scored back in the first inning.
Off walk with Hoskins coming up was not the ideal combination. Caleb Smith and the Marlins.
And just to get back to Kingery, again, it's nice money for me. It's nice money for a lot of the audience, I'm sure. He's only making $750,000 this year. Then it's 1.25. Then it's 1.5, and it jumps to $4 million by 2021. So let's just say, worst case scenario, he doesn't turn out, at least in the first 4 years, to be the player the Phillies hope he will be. For a franchise that has a lot of money in the coffers to spend, it's not a killer. And again, this guy could be a perennial all-star. Who knows? For the Phillies, hopefully he is. But it's just one of those things where you hear, wow, 6-year deal. He's never played in the big leagues. It doesn't really get to huge money as he's on the move. They've got it picked off, dug out of the dirt there by Castro, but in under the tag is Kingery.
This Philadelphia Phillies team has been aggressive. 5 for 6 in stolen bases on the season. Going first move, goes inside lane. Forces Justin Bour to come even farther inside. You see Justin Bour step up, but that short hop throw causes Castro to go up and then go back down with the tag. Kingery gets in safely.
With his first career stolen base, and into scoring position he goes.
I mean, that'll be a story. That's a keeper. That's not even a straight steal. How'd you pick up your first stolen base? Well, I threw over to first base and I got picked off, but I beat the throw to second. As we mentioned, big numbers from big Rhys Hoskins against the Marlins last season. Walk his first time up.
He's now reached base safely in 11 career games against the Marlins.
What gets my attention is the 8 home runs he's hit already. Well, in his career against the Marlins, those games. He did a little bit of that against everybody. I mean, he is the epitome of the modern player. I mean, people were raving about his 50 games last season. Back to Hoskins, 18 homers, 48 RBIs. But get this, he had 48 hits last year. 41% of his hits, those 18 homers I just mentioned, left the park. That's almost half of his hits were home runs.
That's not right.
That's a gift.
It's not supposed to be that easy.
Ooh, big swing on the slider.
Third strikeout of the afternoon for Caleb Smith.
Huge pitch, maybe the biggest pitch for Smith this afternoon.
Look at this. We noticed this. First inning, he goes out there with the 3/4 length sleeves. And let me tell you, I can attest, it didn't get warmer between the first and the second inning.
Psychological warfare, my friend.
That's what that is?
Yeah, it's tough guy. It's tough guy stuff right there. Love to see it. He goes out and struggles with his command a little bit. Uncomfortable. Walked a few hitters. Gives up the hit to Miguel Franco. Takes the sleeves off and he's hanging in there.
And now Odubel Herrera in on the hands, 1-0. Herrera walked in the first inning. One of the 3 free passes issued in that first.
A couple of back-to-back solid seasons for Herrera. Sometimes found himself atop the lineup, sometimes the number 3 hitter. A little bit farther down this year. 5 today.
I'll have to ask Caleb Smith after the game or tomorrow or something about the sleeves, because I know some pitchers, it doesn't matter if it's 95 degrees or if it's 12 below. If they don't like pitching with long sleeves, they won't. Well, pitchers, they wear cutoffs, like a belly shirt underneath. They don't want to feel encumbered by anything.
Right.
Sometimes
It's a different dynamic for the pitchers. He goes out on the mound, and yes, it's cold. You see the wind blowing his pants right now. I mean, that's how gusty it is out here, and it is absolutely cold. But he's in constant motion. Where it's different as an infielder or an outfielder who is standing and really merely getting ready for a ball to come his way. There's a lot more of that.
Inside on Herrera, spins out of the way. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
So he's in a spot where he can kind of stay active, stay busy, then head back to the heaters that are in the dugout. Fastball up and in. Herrera from diving out over the plate. Stance. He promotes that. He starts open, closes up, and leans in out over home plate. You see that unique stance, that front foot wide open on that toe. He does close up as the pitch is on its way and drift in.
Next pitch will be number 65 for Caleb Smith.
I prefer to go with the tough guy stuff. I don't have sleeves on, so you're colder than me, which makes you weaker than me.
Yeah, me? I'm wearing a Snuggie. That's where we differ, pal.
That's not. It's the psychological warfare that you like to go with out there. You see that some guys, listen, it's cold. It's cold.
That's an outfielder. I believe that's Cameron Maven. Yeah, so, like you mentioned, he's out there. He's really just standing around.
It is. Trust me. I did well over a decade of that. It's not the best this time of year. Especially when the wind is kicking. It's, 30 degrees. When it's 30 degrees and not windy, it's cold. When it's 30 degrees or 40 degrees and it's windy, it's twice as bad.
Just watching other games around Major League Baseball in this first week and change of the season. I think the Tigers have played about a game and a half. They've just had a rough go with the weather. The Pirates were back home yesterday, I think, playing through snow. We saw the Yankees and the Mets have their opening days snowed out earlier this week. Phillies just came from Queens, in fact, so really not much warmer a little bit further down I-95. And then there's us down in Miami. It's just beautiful weather.
I told you you'd get soft.
And I know, I would, very much so. I was in the Northeast a month and a half ago.
I
feel like I'm in the Arctic right now.
Doesn't take long. So 60's your new chili.
Exactly. So for those watching at home in Florida, we miss you. We'll be back in 4 days. Two balls and 2 strikes. 2-0 Double Herrera with Kingery off of second. Ground ball, base hit up the middle. Yep, the green light around third is Kingery. He'll score on the RBI from Herrera. It's 3-0 Phillies.
I'll give Herrera credit for grinding out this at bat. He fouled off 3 or 4 pitches with 2 strikes. Slider, a terrible pitch, maybe up just a bit and out over home plate. It's an easy read for Kingery. Ball in play. He knows where Starlin Castro is positioned prior to the pitch, so he knows he's going to score easily. For Herrera, did not roll over the ball. The Marlins had hoped. Back through the middle with it.
So with Herrera off of first, that'll bring up Michael Franco, who drove in a couple on an RBI single back in the first inning. For the second time in this ball game, Harlan Garcia is up. Garcia also pitched after Caleb Smith on Friday night in that 17-inning affair. 6 amazing innings, was perfect through his first 5. A little off, 1-1.
Good changeup, straight change against Kel Franco. Gets anything out over the plate. He likes to take a pretty healthy pass at it.
'70th pitch from Smith is strike 2 to Franco. Gets a piece to stay alive. He's thrown a lot of pitches. He's walked 5 guys. Probably sees out of the corner of his eye that the bullpen's been up a couple of times. Figure Caleb Smith, if he can, would still like to battle through an inning or two. A runner on the move. This one popped up. Halladay deals with the sun and makes the catch. Back to first goes Herrera. This season, the Marlins are collaborating with local lifestyle brand Life for an exclusive t-shirt collection. During select games, you'll be able to get a Marlins-inspired Life brand t-shirt with a special bundle ticket to the game. For games and dates and to purchase your collection of 4, visit marlins.com/offers. On a day like today, you really want to go online and also get a Marlins winter cap and thick jacket. Maybe that's just me. Jorge Alfaro takes up and away, a ball and no strikes. Alfaro, one of the 3 strikeout victims for Caleb Smith.
It's been a common theme for Alfaro in the early going. He's struck out in 7 of his 8 at-bats this season.
Runner goes. Throw to second is a stolen base for Odubel Herrera. Second of the inning against Roy Halladay.
Decent jump. You see Herrera peek back, goes to the outside part for second base. Short hop throw. Herrera picks up his first bag of the season, 50th of his career.
And Alfaro is going to pick up the walk. So the intentional walk to Jorge Alfaro. And that will bring up Nick Pivetta. Go down as the 6th walk for Caleb Smith.
Now this is where the Marlins theoretically gain the advantage with Pivetta hitting in the 8th spot in the lineup. Alfaro takes the walk that brings the pitcher to the plate. The Phillies would counter with, yeah, well, we've got Crawford leading off next inning.
They got to get through Pivetta first. He did so back in the 2nd inning. He led off with a strikeout. Smith trying to get through these first 3 innings. Down the right field line and into the seats. 0-2. A couple of roster moves for the Miami Marlins this morning. Garrett Cooper was placed on the 10-day disabled list, retroactive a couple of days. It was that right wrist contusion from the hit by pitch a few nights back. Braxton Lee back for his 2nd go-round here in 2018. And Severino Gonzalez and Austin Nola both cleared waivers, so they have been assigned to New Orleans. Strike 3, Pivetta is retired. But the Phillies score another on an Odubel Herrera RBI base hit. Marlins trail 3-0 after 3. One of the new features here at Citizens Bank Park, a climbing wall, and that's where Jessica Black is, right? No?
Oh, unfortunately,
oh,
I wish.
You're actually doing your job. Sorry.
Exactly. Paul, like you mentioned earlier, Nick Pivetta on the mound for the Phillies. He is from Canada. In fact, he is one of only 6 Canadian-born players currently playing in the big leagues. You take a look at that full list, you'll see a lot of recognizable names on there, like a Russell Martin, like a Joey Votto. He is from Victoria, British Columbia, and Paul, very proud of his Canadian heritage.
Jessica, thanks so much, and probably also not too worried about the conditions here today, I would think. Standing at 6'5", 210 pounds.
You're saying he's pitched in a few of these games?
Yeah, probably. The only Canadian-born pitcher in the National League, set to deliver an 0-1 to Derek Dietrich. Dietrich flew out to left field back in the 1st inning.
wonder if Caleb Smith has had any kind of issues gripping, the baseball. As good as he was early on, getting back to his last start. I mean, we watched Pivetta today, and his breaking ball's been crisp. It's where it's needed to be at the bottom of the zone. Pivetta sitting at 48 pitches as we speak here in the top of the fourth.
Well, and again, that's the thing. Like, it's more of a big picture question because I kind of know the answer for today. You got Pivetta with 6 strikeouts. Meanwhile, you got Caleb Smith with 6 walks. But we see it every year. There's always, it seems like every single season, there's one pitcher, usually Michael Pineda, who's got just a loaded up neck or belt or sleeve or something with pine tar or some kind of a gripping agent. And as a hitter, where do you stand on that? Are you okay with that? Because at least the pitcher knows where the ball is going. As Dietrich sends this one out to center field, Herrera one away.
Hardest hit baseball by the Marlins this afternoon. He's a little short to center. That doesn't bother me. To me, I've always been, I would much rather that be the case than, we've got the ball slipping out of hands and, because usually when we start talking about pitchers and them losing their grip, we're talking about elevated fastballs or, it's one thing if it's a breaking ball, but when you're talking 95 to 96 miles an hour coming out, you start talking chin music, and and that's not what you want to see for me. And so it's never really been something that's bothered me that much, as far as the pitchers getting grip. And I mean, it is what everybody's different. I mean, it's funny, we talk about how the cold conditions affect us all and, the psychological warfare. I mean, everybody's different. Some people it bothers, some people it doesn't at all. I mean, it bothered me when I played. I mean, I didn't enjoy the cold, but I never wanted anybody to think it was bothering me. And that's that, that element of like, well, I'm not going to let you know it's bothering me, as frigid as I am out here.
Castro did in fact go around, according to the first base umpire Scott Berry. Paul Nauert behind the plate. Carlos Torres is at second, and the crew chief Kerwin Danley, the third base umpire today. A 1-2 on the way to Starlin Castro, just wide of Mr. Danley. Yeah, I've had that conversation an awful lot with hitters and with pitchers, and it seems like almost every pitcher did it. It's just a matter of whether or not you get caught. And the hitters never really seemed to mind for the exact reasons that you brought up. Was like, if he wants to throw a pitch that's going to hit, the inside corner and not my neck, as Castro out to right field, 2 away. Because it doesn't, from what, ball players say, it doesn't do anything for the flight path.
Right, there's no advantage. You're going to throw 2 miles an hour harder because on the 45-degree afternoon, you've got a little pine tar on your fingertips or whatever the case may be, or talc or however you talk about it. It's just, that's what, for me, that's what you want to see. You just don't want to see any kind of errant fastballs.
Now you're going to put Vaseline somewhere in your body, make the ball dance a little bit more. Now we've got a problem.
Entirely different conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do find it so very interesting. I mean, Justin Bour's a pretty good example of this. Look at that bat right there. It's got pine tar all over it.
Yeah.
Well, he's using it to make sure he grips the bat and doesn't throw it. He needs it to hit, right? Does a pretty nice job of it right there.
A base hit into left field. A 2-out knock for Justin Bour. And the Marlins have a runaround here in the fourth.
Seen this a few times from Justin Bour through 7 games. The willingness to go the other way. Fastball. Justin Bour head down, drives it to left field for a base hit. A piece of hitting by the big guy.
Came in this ball game hitting .297, or he hit .297 in 11 games against the Phillies last season. It was a big jump by some 80 points from the 35 games that he played against the Phillies from 2014 to 2016. He's got a hit here in the first of 19 meetings against the Philadelphia Phillies this afternoon. Ball and a strike to Brian Anderson, who grounded out to lead off the second. Check down to first. Anderson went around.
Bring that bat off your shoulders this afternoon, especially if you're a right-handed hitter. There will be a swing every time. The Philadelphia Phillies seem to be going after Brian Anderson, much like the Cubs and the Red Sox. A heavy dose of breaking balls.
Day game today, off day tomorrow, and then back on Saturday. And prior to Saturday's game, it's Marlins Live, presented by South Florida Honda. Jessica Blaylock will be live here from Philadelphia. She will chat with the skipper, and we will be watching the weather, because right now it doesn't seem likely that there will be a game on Saturday.
We're expecting 3 to 5 inches.
Yeah.
Of snow.
Of snow, yeah.
Not rain.
Nope. Nope. So we shall see. Hopefully we get it in, but who knows? If we do, again, a 6:05 first pitch, so Marlins Live at 5:30. Anderson shoots this one out to right field, and a base hit inside the line. A fair ball for Anderson. Kingery digs it out, throws in, and an extra base hit for Brian Anderson as he stays red hot. It's now a 7-game hit streak to start 2018.
Yeah, starting to really understand why we continue to see the opposition attack Anderson with breaking balls. He's a really good fastball hitter. That's the inside part of the plate or away. He's catching up to the velocity and driving it with authority, particularly the other way. A little hesitation as he's not quite sure where that's going. Just inside the right field line. Head down, good swing.
Well, his last at bat, he thought he had one down the right field line, and the wind took it.
Right.
The wind died down for a second there. That one falls in for a double. Now it's Cameron Maybin.
He hit that one harder. So an opportunity with runners at second and third. A base hit could tie this up. Justin Moore over at third base. Excuse me, that's right. 3-0. I'm a little ahead of myself here. Forgot about that last run. I was thinking back to the big Maybin double in the Marlins series on Tuesday. The left field wall. Likening it to this situation. Of course, he would have to go deep to tie this up.
I'd sign up for that. I think he would too.
I wonder, though, if to left field that's a possibility today, the way the wind is howling. Saw Dietrich's ball earlier this inning get knocked down. Hit that ball hard.
The 1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3. That's the 7th strikeout for Nick Pivetta through 4 stellar innings. Looks like Harlan Garcia is going to come in for the bottom of the 4th. Got a good view of that Villanova championship parade earlier today. Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth back with you here at Citizens Bank, where the Phillies have a 3-0 lead. Caleb Smith's day is done, and we get a look here at Harlan Garcia. It's been pretty good out of the bullpen and so far for the Miami Marlins.
Well, the body of work, all 6 innings came in one outing. The Chicago Cubs, 6 solid innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts. With a couple walks, but great stuff. Harlan acting like a starter in his 1 appearance out of the bullpen. Saw the fastball to both sides of the plate. Good slider, good changeup is part of his arsenal. Probably expected to go an inning or 2 or more this afternoon.
He'll face 9-1-2 of the Phillies order. J.P. Crawford, followed by Cesar Hernandez and Carlos Santana. Of course, the line complete on Caleb Smith as he goes 3 innings, gives up 2 hits, 3 runs. All of them were earned. He walked 6 and struck out 4. Garcia misses low, 2 balls and a strike. Crawford limited action against the Miami Marlins. Last year was 4 for 13, 3 RBIs in 3 games. He grounded out and is now 0 for his last 9 overall.
They love his gloves, still waiting on his bat.
Garcia goes out there with the sleeves. We saw the 3/4 length sleeves from Caleb Smith in the first inning. Ditched those in the second and the third to go sleeveless. Justin Moore steps on the bag, 1 out. Nine games against the Phillies for Harlan Garcia, a 10.29 strikeout to walk ratio, or strikeout per 9 rather.
Cesar Hernandez, switch hitter. Walks from the right side of the plate. His first 2 times up. 294 in both 2016 and 2017. Just love his ability to get on base. Base percentage above 370 the last 2 seasons.
Left side, backhanded there by Rojas. Throws, and it's off the mark. Hernandez will reach. Built for baseball, presented by T-Mobile, the best network for streaming baseball, because your stadium should be where you make it. See how they decide to score that. If it's a hit with Hernandez's speed or an error with the wide throw from Rojas. Got to go hit if I'm scoring that. That's a long throw. It was a hit for Hernandez.
Not an
easy play for Rojas.
With the temperatures that we've mentioned this afternoon, yes, a sunny day. We've got shadows now creeping over the batter's box. Talked about that a little bit at Marlins Park. The roof that's been open, we're seeing it here today. Start time 3:07. Shadows as the evening, as the sun starts to set.
And the shadows were creeping in earlier as well when you see those out by shortstop and foul ground wide of the first base bag. Those shadows of the light stanchions were really what was going over home plate. So you've got sun, shadow, sun, shadow, sun, shadow about 11 times before you get to home plate.
That can be tough for the infielders. Certainly tough on the hitters. Marlon Garcia standing in full sun. Santana, a good right-handed hitter, a very good left-handed hitter. That's for a lot more power.
Runner goes. Throw to second. It's not in time, and in there with a stolen base is Cesar Hernandez.
Third stolen base on the afternoon for the Philadelphia Phillies. Mentioned coming in that they had 5 stolen bases already. Again, trying to get the offense in gear. The stolen base is part of what they do. 3 stolen bases against the lefties.
Another runner in scoring position here for the Philadelphia Phillies, who are already 2 for 5 with runners in scoring position today. That one inside, 3-1. So Michael Franco, 2 RBI single in the first. Odubel Herrera drove home another run on a base hit in the third. It's fouled away. Garcia set a new career high with those 6 innings pitched the other night. Also a new career high with 6 strikeouts. Longest relief outing by a Marlins pitcher since Kevin Slowey went 7 innings back in June of 2013. And Santana is retired for the second out here in the fourth.
First strikeout for Garcia. Good fastball at the knees down. Strikeout of Santana.
Now it's Scott Kingery, who flew out in the first, walked, stole a base, and scored a run in the third. He's out in right field today, and they just called a balk on Harlan Garcia. Strike to Kingery. Again, Kingery out in right field today. Probably a couple of different positions that he could play, a little infield, a little outfield. And if he continues to hit, he'll be out there every day.
Right now with this Philadelphia Phillies offense, runs up on the board today. They've been patient. The Marlins have walked a few hitters. Haven't been quite would call him toasty hot coming in. 183 as a group. Rhys Hoskins has been the offense for the most part. A few regulars still looking for their first hit on the season.
One lifted out toward center field. Brinson for out number 3. We are through 4 here on opening day in Philly. Bears nothing to hide. By the Cleveland Clinic. Stiff joints, aches and pains. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by La Lechonera, the original Mojo since 1970. The city of brotherly love. I think that's rain. That's got to be wind whipping around from the fountains around here. It's about a 20-mile-an-hour wind. You can see it in Nick Pivetta's sleeve right there. It's been steady throughout, as has Pivetta, by the way. He's got 7 strikeouts through 4 innings of work. A deal against Miguel Rojas, Roy Halladay, and the number 9 spot in the order for the Marlins. Rojas, one of those 7 strikeout victims, went down in the 2nd inning. Ball catches the outside part of the plate. It's 0-2.
Pivetta has gave some glimpses in 2017 of what they thought his high potential would translate into. That's why you would say, how in the world after 26 starts and a 6 ERA is he in this rotation? There was some evidence that his stuff would play. Some of the peripherals, 40 innings last year, 144 punch-outs. We've seen the punch-out today. But obviously, I enjoy talking about the slugging percentage by the hitters against Pivetta. He's got some evidence that he can get big league lineups out. He really has had no problem with his grip on the breaking ball this afternoon. Now we're talking a little bit about that a couple of innings ago. Pivetta has had the big bender and the slider working for him, both as a chase pitch and at times effectively as a called strike. We've seen both.
Rolled to short, and applying the tag on the wide throw was Santana. Rojas retired for out number 1 here in the 5th. Start your day with First Things First. Join Chris Carter, Nick Wright, and Jenna Wolf for the best morning sports show on television. First Things First. Weekdays on FS1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Your morning routine just got a whole lot more fun. Again, the 7 strikeouts through 4 1/3 for Pivetta should really come as no surprise as Halladay swings and misses. Among major league rookies last year, Pivetta was first in strikeouts per 9, third in strikeouts overall. So if you like the strikeouts, he's your guy. If the Phillies like the durability, he's your guy as well. He was also 4th among major league rookies in starts and 7th in innings. Those 26 starts, the most in a single season by a Phillies rookie since 1990. One and two to Brian Halladay, who struck out back in the 3rd. And a 2-2 pitch. Poked out toward right center field. And Kingery for out number 2.
Pivetta continues in his rhythm. Seeing the fastball early in the count, getting to the breaking balls and forcing Marlins hitters in some regards out on their front foot. Not seen a whole lot of hard contact today. Into my score sheet through 5 innings, we've only got 2 really well hit balls.
How do you mark that?
Well, part of it's my memory, but
Which is superb. I've noted in a week. Amazing.
I could count Dietrich's long fly ball to center field. I probably should have. I should say 3. Justin Bohr, solid base hit to left. Anderson, a solid base hit down the right field line off the barrel as well. And that deep fly ball, all in the 4th inning. Other than that, Pivetta has done that.
That is his 8th strikeout. 1, 2, 3. Go the Marlins in the 5th. 3-0.
Citizens Bank Park, the Marlins with a little bit of work to do if they want to get a win in this one today. Time now for our showstopper, and for that we are going to head to Minnesota. The Twins hosting the Mariners in the first game of the season at Target Field. Hey, the best part of any opening day, the pageantry. How about a bald eagle landing on the shoulder of Twins starting pitcher James Paxton? give Paxton credit. He stays calm and collected throughout the entire situation. That is a perfect showstopper right there, guys.
A little scary for me, I think. But
I put my arm out.
Of course you would.
Just go like this.
Of course you would.
That's where he belongs. Like I wanted to say hi.
Wanted to be on the perch.
Pull the arm up, right? Like the people who are trained to do it, just put your arm out.
That's right. Harlan Garcia will face Rhys Hoskins, Odubel Herrera, and Maikel Franco here in the 5th. So it really should come as no surprise then that you were up on stage at FanFest with all the animals.
Well, remember the circumstances there. Yeah, I mean, it was no surprise that I was up on stage. We had a little bit of a meltdown with an iguana, but other than that, it was all good.
Meltdown with an iguana.
Yeah, I mean,
explain that.
No, that's not for the airwaves. Not today.
Okie dokie.
Yeah. It was a mess. Just leave it at that. And figure out. You do your best and figure out how an iguana can make a mess. He was not shredding up our notes or our paper either.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. It was a mess of it.
Sounds wonderful.
I had to hold the mic, so I was just trying to keep it clean.
As are we right now. Call strike 3. And Rhys Hoskins is retired with the first out here in the 5th. Second strikeout for Harlan Garcia.
Second strikeout of the ballgame for Garcia. Same spot, low zone, top of those knees, 94. Reaches back and gets a little more.
Here's our Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. A lot of innings through the first 6 games. 2018 Marlins on that homestand played 67 innings. Only a handful of teams played more than that in the first 6 games. Most ever, 1982 Oakland A's. As Odubel Herrera wanted nothing to do with that first offering. It's 0-1.
Talk about innings played. How about the bullpen? 35 1/3 innings coming in. That was most in the major leagues. Of course, a lot of extra innings on the homestand. But with Caleb Smith going short today, Harlan Garcia already into the game. The total is going to continue to rise.
He also came in with a National League best 32 strikeouts out of that bullpen. And with the off day yesterday, the off day tomorrow, one would think that everybody's pretty much available out there in the bullpen for Don Mattingly. Day like this, if I point out, as Brian Anderson field that ground ball, it was hit right to him. If I say warming up in the Marlins bullpen, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're throwing to come into the game. I see an exercise bike out there just to try to stay a little toasty.
Well, you've got to do your best to stay loose. I mean, it is important to understand that as well. I mean, do sit still long enough in cold weather, you will get stiff and your muscles will tighten up. Do your best to stay loose and ready to go.
Maikel Franco takes inside. It was Franco with the 2 RBI single back in the first inning that got the scoring started for the Phillies this afternoon. Coffee for Maikel Franco. Started to stay a little toasty in there. Gonna get coffee just to kind of hold it, keep the hands warm. That little guy's all bundled up. Walk up those stairs. Franco pokes that one into the seats. Still 1-2. Mentioned this being something of a make or break year for Maikel Franco. Say what you will about spring training numbers, he hit just .211. But those struggles have carried over outside of the RBI single back in the first inning into the 2018 season. He's hitting just .154. Two and two.
They do love is the 49 home runs he's hit over the last 2 seasons. That is the one thing that you circle about Maikel Franco, and you say, listen, he's got some power. He's a corner infielder. He can do some damage with the bat, but the fact that he expands the zone probably a little bit too much, both in terms of strikeouts and in bad contact. I've seen him do it quite a bit of this last year. He does, I think back to that 2015 season, that half season he had. When he's locked in, he could potentially be a lot more than what they've seen over the last 2 seasons.
Hit out towards center field. Brinson going way back on the track. And that one's going to get down for extra bases. Franco around second toward third. The throw from Rojas is off the mark, and it's a triple for Maikel Franco.
Possibly the hardest hit ball this afternoon from either team. So playing shallow. So the flag is well struck. Hits the wall. Brinson tracking it just to the wall. I thought he was a step or two from the wall itself, as you saw that leap, almost like he was going to go over the wall. Franco's going to turn on the jets. He realizes the ball is down.
An intentional walk right there to Jorge Alfaro, so now it's first and third for Nick Pivetta. Well, here's the thing. We know that Lewis Brinson can go back on the baseball. We saw that the other night in extra innings, taking away what may have actually been a home run from Mookie Betts. An unbelievable catch in straightaway center field the other night. The wind whipping around, not an easy play, going straight back on a hard hit ball right there.
Well, you also have to consider the ballparks. Lewis Brinson is new to a lot of ballparks around the National American League, and you have to get familiar with your parks. Not the easiest thing to do. Again, this is something that's built around repetition and practice.
Pivetta, chopper, slowly towards short. Rojas had trouble getting it out of his glove, but makes the play. Marlins able to strand a couple Phillies through 5. It's 3-0. Nothing Phillies on top. Geico presents this day in Marlins history. We're going way back. 1993 was when it all began. Marlins beat the Dodgers 6-3 in their inaugural game. Charlie Huff on the mound. There's the first pitch in Marlins history, the first strikeout, able to pick up a win. Well, there's been a call for that black and teal color to come back, and for those that don't know, it will be back in June when the San Diego Padres are in town. So we'll see those old unis. Chilly day, windy day here in Philadelphia. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, as Nick Pivetta has 8 strikeouts through 5 innings of work. He has been sharp.
And at 84 pitches, back out for the 6th inning.
That is something that has certainly drawn a few headlines around here.
He has been effective this afternoon. Kapler sends him back out for the 6th.
Let's see the top of the order, Lewis Brinson, who takes a called strike, and then Derek Dietrich and Starlin Castro. Of course, what you're referring to is maybe a number of different things from that opening series against Atlanta. And Aaron Nola was just fantastic through 60-something pitches, and now, not a moment too soon. You see Morgan loosening, the lefty.
Well, it's getting past the effectiveness. I mean, anybody's watching this ballgame saying Nick Pivetta has been in complete control. The Philadelphia Phillies are up 3-0. He's got 8 strikeouts. He hasn't walked a hitter. What in the world? Well, the conversation is beyond that. It's pitches thrown. It's bullpen usage. It's a different conversation here in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah, there was a mission statement for Gabe Kapler when he came in. He wants to put players in a position to succeed.
Certainly understood, but go back to game 1, and I think that's exactly what you kind of look at. The Philadelphia Phillies were in great position to beat the Atlanta Braves. Aaron Nola was in cruise control, took him out of the ball game. Bullpen imploded. They ended up losing the ball game.
That is the 9th strikeout of the afternoon for Nick Pivetta.
Left fielder, Derek Dietrich.
And that's not really just kind of limited to the Philadelphia Phillies. We see that now around baseball a lot, about we are not going to let our starting pitcher see the opponents a 3rd time through the order. But
regardless of the results the first 2 times?
Apparently. That's the way that it seems. And that kind of bleeds into the whole, it's a bullpen game now. Right back up the middle for Derek Dietrich, a 1-out base hit here in the 6th. But that's where the marriage as a fan, obviously I want to get your take as a former player, that's where the marriage of the numbers and the eyeball test, there needs to be a connection there. And again, this is not just Gabe Kapler, who's obviously made the headlines in the first week. But again, it's going around baseball an awful lot. The Tampa Bay Rays were a team that did that quite a bit last year. But if a guy is going, and in this particular situation, and he's still out there, but 9 strikeouts, 90 pitches, the Marlins haven't put too many good swings on this guy. To see 2 guys thrown, to see anybody thrown out there in the bullpen, to me, is a bit shocking. What say you?
Well, it is, but I think the idea is that it's early in the season and protecting your starters is of the utmost importance. Maybe the idea is that you'll see longer starts as the season goes along. But again, it's the extreme ends of the conversation where people are starting to wonder exactly how Gabe Kapler is going to manage this Philadelphia Phillies team. And I think right out of the gates, the idea was this is an extreme example. Aaron Nola's our ace. Why in the world, what was it, 58 pitches? Why in the world is he even coming out of this ball game? It didn't make a whole lot of sense. And then, the implosion happens. Because again, if you get back down to it, would you have questioned Nola coming out of the ball game? Say the Phillies bullpen shows up, does its job, and they go on and win the first game of the season, and the story's so different. I don't think that everybody gets all wound up about it. But what ends up happening, Nola comes out of the ball game, bullpen implodes, they lose the ball game, everybody's up in arms.
Yeah, Nola threw 68 pitches, 48 for strikes. This was on opening day, and 5 1/3 innings pitched. He leaves the game with a 5-0 lead. Bullpen coughs it up, and they end up losing that game as just foul wide of the third base bag off the bat of Starlin Castro. Then, of course, you can make the case that that was not the most famous bullpen blunder, if you will, on the young season for Gabe Kapler, because then the next day he goes to the bullpen, and Mr. Milner hasn't even thrown a warm-up toss, and he's been called out to the pen.
There's no conversation there.
Castro out toward left center field, and Herrera puts that one away, actually in dead center. Wynn brought that one back. Dietrich retreats, and there are 2 outs.
Yeah, there's no conversation there because that's just a big fat mistake. That's all you're going to do with it.
I wonder what kind of hand he'll get right here. Let's listen. He's going to the pen. Now, he did get booed in introductions, the manager Gabe Kapler, so who knows if this is him walking out of the bullpen or walking out of the dugout for the first time today. They're going to greet him as only Philly fans can, or if they just want to see more from Nick Pivetta, who does, in fact, get a standing ovation. 9 strikeouts for him, 3-0 lead for the Phils. Call to the bullpen brought to you by the Florida Lottery. Back in a moment. Nothing. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by the Florida Lottery, introducing the new Florida Times to Cash scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery, celebrating 30 years of winning with their biggest scratch-off top prize ever, $15 million. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket, claim it. You must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Adam Morgan in as Gabe Kapler booed on his way back to the dugout after the pitching change, and there's one fan who not pleased with the new skipper.
That might have been, let's be honest, I think that was even a little worse than introductions today. Wouldn't you agree?
I would. It was fairly unanimous. A lack of support, I guess, is one way to put it. A boo for sure. But hey, you know, Justin Bour digs in here, 1 on and 2 out.
Well, Adam Morgan, very successful against the Marlins last season. 8 2/3 innings, a 1 ERA. He has not surrendered a hit to a left-handed batter yet in 2018. He's faced 5 lefties. So again, that is the matchup that you're playing to. This is a 3-0 ball game. Got a knock on to Pivetta.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. So the move to the bullpen works out from a Phillies perspective. We are through 5.5 here in Philadelphia on opening day. 3-0 Phillies. in Philadelphia. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth, Gabe Kapler, a new skipper, along with Aaron Boone, Mickey Callaway, Alex Cora, who we just saw, and Dave Martinez. And of course, Kapler, we noted before the game that he was booed on his way in. Then he comes out to replace Nick Pivetta, who was fantastic. He gets booed, makes the pitching change, walks back to the dugout, gets booed again, as Harlan Garcia delivers a ball there to J.P. Crawford and Cesar Hernandez and Carlos Santana here in the 6th. So just to get back to the whole Gabe Kapler, management of the bullpen, again, whether it's this inning or this game or the first week or just a general philosophy that this team is going to have under Gabe Kapler. The one that was most notable, again, was when he went to the bullpen in Atlanta and the youngster Milner hadn't thrown a warm-up pitch.
Yeah.
And I will say this, while on the surface it looks like Kapler's got no idea what he's doing, he's lost this, he's lost that, he's clueless. Okay, all that being said, you could say of that whatever you will. What I will say in his defense was that instead of pointing the blame all over, this bullpen phone didn't work or they misunderstood me, Bohr on the backhand throws to Garcia, who tags the bag with his glove for out number 1. A nice play on both ends.
Wow. JP, like a quarterback. It's Harlan Garcia as he gets to the back pylon. Gets the glove down in time, touchdown.
And he completed the catch.
Well, look, and the throw was leading him to the bag, literally leading him to the bag. So instead of trying to get his feet down, just takes the glove to the bag. Well done.
Very nice job. Back to the top of the order here for Cesar Hernandez. But yeah, I mean, Kapler could have easily pointed fingers, and he didn't. So if you're going to give him credit for something, give him credit for that.
Give him credit for what he believes, and that's the most important thing. He has complete conviction about what he thinks is the new game of baseball and how they're going to run things here in Philadelphia, and they believe long term, and the Philadelphia Phillies organization believes that. And that's what people around baseball are going to have to understand. Now, that doesn't mean that the Philly faithful is going to love it, because we just found out that they're not too on board. To my point, you know, I said it last inning. You know, if you're to rewind, you see a ground ball to the right side. Oh my!
Low throw, and Bohr couldn't dig that one out. Castro had time, but he'll be credited. Credit is the right word, but an error on Castro.
We've seen this a few times for the Marlins today. A short hop throw. We've seen a couple stolen base attempts. Halladay, a couple of short hop throws. Justin Bohr, a short hop throw at the second base as well. It's cool temperatures, certainly playing with the grip on the baseball.
And now Carlos Santana.
You know, merely just getting back to the original point, going back to the game that started all of this, and what I think is a lot of I call it first impression resentment that maybe the fan base here in Philadelphia has against Gabe Kapler is based on that game and the idea. And I said it to you. Let's rewind. Five innings. Nola, fantastic job. Low pitch count. They take him out of the ball game. Bullpen comes in, shuts the door. Let's even say, the Philadelphia Phillies again, and another short hop throw into second base. Hernandez, his second stolen base of the afternoon. Continue to talk about the grip on the baseball. Hernandez off with the pitch. Starling Castro having a hard time coming up with it. And merely just to finish up on Kapler, is if the circumstances were different and the Philadelphia Phillies had won the game, this would not be happening.
No talk.
Am I lying?
No talk about it. You're right.
So, remember, first impressions. Yeah, it's Philly. I get it. Kapler believes what he believes, and they're going to find out if it works.
Attempting to steal third, throw down. That throw on the mark. As Hernandez caught stealing by Brian Halladay. 2 outs here in the 6th.
Much better throw from Halladay. Much shorter throw. Strong throw inside the third base bag. Brian Anderson, nice job getting the tag down. 4 consecutive stolen bases for the Philadelphia Phillies. 5 will not happen.
And now 2-1 to Santana. 3-1. Santana flew out in the first inning. Retired on the fielder's choice to end the second and struck out in the fourth. First of 2 strikeouts this afternoon for Harlan Garcia, who delivers strike 2 to Santana. And the count now full with 2 outs.
Garcia, this is his 3rd inning of work. He's had some traffic on each inning.
Garcia loosening for the Phils. Goes below us as Santana will see another pitch from Garcia, the second pitcher today for the Marlins. Caleb Smith went the first 3 innings, walked 6 and struck out 4 through 77 pitches. Side ball 4. That's the second walk of the afternoon for Garcia. And now Scott Kingery, who walked, stole second, and scored a run in the 3rd inning on the Herrera RBI base hit. Strike to the youngster. It feels like the Phillies, and this is a credit to Pivetta, really. It feels like the Phillies are up a lot more than 3-0 right now. But Garcia and whoever may come in after him just need to keep it right there. Marlins are now into the Phillies bullpen as Gabe Kapler has taken Pivetta out. So Don Mattingly's bunch still within striking distance.
And the Philadelphia Phillies have had runners on every inning and have left men on base in every inning.
They left 2 on in the first. They left 1 on in the second. 2 on in the third. 1 on in the fourth. 2 on in the 5th. So, to keep that pattern going, Garcia's got to strand Santana right here. He's got 2 strikeouts out of the bullpen today. This one on the ground to Rojas, who backhands and throws, and the inning is over. We are through 6 on opening day in Philly, 3-0. Bruins in the team's final home game of the regular season. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Florida and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth back here opening day in Philadelphia. Speaking of hockey, the Flyers are in town. They'll be playing tonight as well, right across the street at the Wells Fargo Center. So a big day for Philly sports. Again, they had the Villanova National Championship Parade today, and Phillies opening day on the 2018 season, and then the Flyers tonight. So a busy day in the city of brotherly love. It's Brian Anderson, Cameron Maven, and Miguel Rojas here in the 7th inning. As Adam Morgan, who finished up the 6th inning by striking out Justin Bohr, is back out here for the 7th. A strike to Anderson, who extended his hit streak to begin the season to 7 games with a double back in the 4th.
Fastball, slider, curveball change from Morgan. Converted starter a couple seasons ago from starting rotation for the Philadelphia Phillies into the bullpen. Still throws all 4 pitches. Fastball now sits at 94 when he's in the starting rotation. Obviously a little less than that. He leans on that slider. Changeup's been a good pitch for him.
Off the end of the bat to second base. 1 away.
Join us April 13th. The Marlins take on the Pittsburgh Pirates for fireworks at the park. Catch all the action at 7:10 and then enjoy a post-game fireworks display. The Miami skyline as a scenic backdrop. Purchase your tickets for fireworks at the park, marlins.com.
Teran Guerrero loosening for the Marlins. A couple of strong innings from Harlan Garcia in relief of Caleb Smith. Cameron Maben line drive center field. Herrera with a diving catch to take away a base hit.
Beautiful catch by Herrera. Watch the break. As soon as he recognizes that ball is going to hang up just enough, and he closes that closing speed, able to catch it right off the grass. In fact, it's the Bonefish catch of the game, catch of the day. It's brought to you by Bonefish Grill, certainly worthy of that. One more look. Concentration in this sunlight today. Again, we're talking about the shadows. Remember, the hitter is now in the shadow, as is the pitcher. As an outfielder, that is very difficult to contend with. Everything that's in front of your face is bright, but you're picking up the baseball from the shadows. So his closing speed was really important.
This time of day, at least this time of year, that'll certainly change, but Rojas, hot shot to short. He's retired. All I was going to say was there is a lot of funky shadows over the field, but the Phillies defense up to the task. 3-0 as we stretch in Philadelphia. Chilly in Philly for opening day, but the Philadelphia Phillies have a 3-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. 9 strikeouts and 5 2/3 for Nick Pivetta, setting the tone. A couple of early runs, and the Marlins have been trying to fight back ever since. That's the story here at Citizens Bank Park. For another story, let's check in with Jessica Blaylock.
Thanks, Paul. We have seen the sporting community rally around Stoneman Douglas over the past few months, and that support continued yesterday. The Eagles and Coral Springs High School were scheduled to play a baseball game at Marlins Park last night, but before that, had a chance to participate in a very cool meet and greet with the Marlins before the team left for Philadelphia. All of the players were there to shake hands, have conversations, take pictures. It was a wonderful experience for the high schoolers and the big leaguers as well. And then Stoneman Douglas that night went on to beat Coral Springs High School by a final of 9-4. Paul, they are still perfect in district play.
Jessica, thanks so much. Obviously, those students, those baseball players, that entire school has been through so much. Nice to see that they are back at it on the field. I think what's also fascinating and certainly touching and even a bit magical too was what the hockey team was able to do. The hockey team won the state title, and 17 gold medals were handed out, and those 17 gold medals were placed on the crosses that were at the memorial outside of Stoneman Douglas in Parkland. And again, that community has come together. The Marlins have done all that they can do and certainly will continue to do in the coming weeks and months as the recovery continues. And that's not going to stop for a long time. So the Marlins are doing their best to try to raise the spirits, even in small doses here and there, in what is certainly a tough time in Parkland. 0-2 to Rhys Hoskins. Able to stay alive. It's Hoskins, Herrera, and Franco due up in the 7th for the Phillies. They lead this one 3-0. Harlan Garcia, who came on to start the 4th inning, back out for the 7th. He's thrown 60 pitches. Couple of walks, couple of strikeouts.
Hoskins has had a tougher day today than one I can remember. Got a pretty good glimpse of what Hoskins can do last season on a daily basis against this Marlins team. Today, after a leadoff walk, he did score in the first, a couple of strikeouts. Marlins have kept him off balance, a combination of some early fastballs, some fastballs on the edges, and there's also been a couple of sliders and some good changeups.
Two is popped up toward left center field. Brinson calls off Dietrich. One away. Bring up Odubel Herrera, who had an RBI single back in the 3rd inning. Gave the Phillies the 3-0 lead that they continue to protect here in the 7th. And just to go back to that, the baseball game, obviously what it means for Stoneman Douglas and all that they've been through, again, just something of a mini distraction. But if you broaden that thought a little bit, high schoolers playing on a big league field, that's got to be a thrill. Did you get a chance to do that in high school?
Not in high school. In the early minor leagues, I did get to play at a big league field. I got to play in the Kingdome right after signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, with the Yakima Bears at the time, our affiliate, short season A-ball up in the Northwest League, and we got to play Kingdome.
1 ball and 1 strike to Odubel Herrera. Lines a base hit into center field. His second hit of this afternoon. He's been on base 3 times.
Hits against lefties for Herrera this afternoon. Harlan went up at his hands a couple of times. The second one able to go up in the center field. Yeah, I was only a month or 2 out of high school, so I mean it almost counts.
Close enough. We'll score that.
Which I was pretty happy that game kind of happened. Because you're right, because you step on a big league field for the first time, and you realize, you hear the phrase that third deck effect.
Yeah.
Whether there's anybody sitting up there or not, it still affects you as a player when you step on the field for the first time. You look up and you're like, wow, this building is huge.
Yeah.
Even though we were only playing in front of a few thousand people before that Mariners game, I mean, it was the greatest thing we'd ever seen.
Of course, a lot of the new ballparks now, they're built kind of have more of a bowl effect to them. That's why so many people talked about the old Yankee Stadium when it was just, you know, the bottom deck, the mezzanine, the upper deck was kind of one on top of another. It felt like the outfielders. Did you play at the old Yankee Stadium?
Did
it feel in the outfield like the fans were on top of you?
Yeah.
More so than maybe some of the other bowl type ballparks?
Good old Tiger Stadium. You're right. A lot more creativity that goes into much of more modern ballparks. A lot of the stadiums in the 70s and 80s a little more cookie cutter, multi-purpose.
The old vet here in Philadelphia.
One of them.
3 Rivers, Riverfront, Busch Stadium. Would you throw, what would it be, Qualcomm at the time? Whatever it was before Qualcomm out in San Diego. Was that another one of those? It was at least a dual purpose. 2-1 to Michael Franco, who drove in 2 back in the first, and he is going to drive in 2 here in the 7th on a 2-run shot to left field. The Phillies open up a 5-0 lead.
Well, Franco success against the Marlins organization last year, being over 300, even though it would by definition be a down season, having a huge afternoon today, a double short of the cycle. Long home run to left field on an elevated fastball. Back in the very first inning, he got an elevated fastball from Caleb Smith. He drove it out to left field for a 2-run single. Elevated fastball from Garcia. Result of 2-run home run. Here's another look at it. Fastball above the belt. It's a line drive. You're willing to bet well underneath the wind. The wind had no bearing on that.
24 home runs last season, 25 the year before, and that is his first home run in 2018. And that gives the Phillies a 5-0 lead as the pitching coach Juan Nieves is out to talk with Harlan Garcia. Guerrero continues to loosen for the Marlins. This is Jorge Alfaro. A no contact afternoon for him. He struck out in the first, walked in the third, and was intentionally walked in the 5th. High chop Rojas waits for the good one, walks into it and throws, and Bohr able to dig that one out and keep a toe on the bag. Says Scott Berry, much to the chagrin of the Phillies fans, who thought that maybe that throw pulled him off.
Very difficult to see. Looks like he was able to hold the bag. Obviously, momentum takes him off as he's catching that short hop. His foot is on the bag. Let's see if the Phillies. There's a pretty good look. He's definitely on the bag. He is out. The Phillies are not going to challenge. Nice job by Justin Bohr. Getting back to the balls in the dirt today, Paul. How many have we seen from all of the Marlins? Ball must be cold and certainly coming out of their hands. So we've seen a number of short hops on the infield this afternoon.
Aaron Altair off the bench to pinch hit in the number 8 spot, where Nick Pivetta was today in the starting lineup for Gabe Kapler. A couple of strikeouts in the ground out for Pivetta, but here is Aaron Altair, just 1 for 17 on the young season. Out towards center, Brinson for out number 3. But a 395-foot homer for Franco made it 5-0 Phillies. Vince Velasquez will get things going on Saturday night. A 6:05 first pitch here in Philadelphia, weather permitting. Right now the forecast isn't great for the second game of this 3-game set. A travel day yesterday to get to Philadelphia, the game today, an off day tomorrow, which they built in so that they could, just in case if they needed it, have opening day. But they were able to get this game in. We move to the 8th inning. Luis Garcia is in to pitch, the third pitcher of the afternoon for Gabe Kapler. After a terrific outing from Nick Pivetta, Adam Morgan, and now Garcia, the 31-year-old from the Dominican Republic.
Very good numbers for Garcia. Since being recalled about halfway through last year. In fact, his last 26 games. Close to 178 ERA. Good numbers against the Marlins. They saw him a bunch down the stretch. Lee steps in to pinch hit. 1 ERA over 9 innings against the Marlins.
Lee recalled from New Orleans today as Garrett Cooper went on the Sabre list. Cooper on the deal with that right wrist contusion from the other night when he got hit by a pitch, left the game in the 4th inning, and came off the bench the next day. Started the following day, which was Sunday, and took a swing on a strikeout. You could see him kind of flexing that hand. Lee chops to second. Throw on the run. High throw, in fact, in and out of the glove of Santana, who was trying to get the glove down quick in order to apply the tag to the speedy Braxton Lee, but that should go down as an error.
Braxton Lee hustling down the first base line, able to beat the throw. Has probably had a split more, just a little bit more time, split second more time. Make that throw, decided to go on the run, and again the theme continues as the infielders struggling with their throws. Cold temperatures definitely factoring into the grip on the baseball, at least with the infielders. We haven't seen an errant fastball yet today. Control of pitchers in the bullpens from both teams has been very good. It's been the infielders that have had a hard time with the throws today. We've seen a number of balls high and low and in the dirt.
Tomas Tellez, the pinch hit here, takes a called strike. Tellez had his first hit of the season against the Cubs last week, also in a pinch hitting role in that particular ball game. 6 for 21 as a pinch hitter in 2017. Ball one. Pivetta went the first 5 2/3 this afternoon for the Phillies. Gave up 4 hits, didn't walk anybody, and struck out 9. Chopped up the middle. Steps on the bag, throws to first, and that's a double play.
Well, an opportunity for redemption for Hernandez. This ground ball back through the box, led him right to second base. Lee off and running. Hernandez much more time, much stronger throw to first.
Top of the lineup, it's Lewis Brinson. He, along with the rest of the Marlins, a rough go today against Nick Pivetta.
That's what Lewis Brinson has seen this afternoon. A lot more breaking balls than he's really seen in the first 6 games of the season. The homestand certainly saw his share of breaking balls, but at least a combination of fastballs and breaking balls. Really, the Phillies have just done nothing but throw him breaking balls all day today. He's preying on his patience.
Check down at first, and they say Brinson went around. He strikes out to end the top of the 8th inning. It's 5-0 Phillies. Skyline of the city is beautiful. We're somewhere off in the distance over there at Citizens Bank Park for opening day.
MLB At Bat is your #1 app for Marlins baseball. Customize your experience to catch every moment this season. Marlins home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB At Bat today.
Tomas Talí stays in the ball game to replace Roy Halladay behind home plate. Completely new battery here for the Marlins here in the bottom of the 8th inning as Teheran Guerrero takes over. He's never faced the Philadelphia Phillies, but he has already worked 3 games this season. 5 strikeouts, 4 of which came in that outing against the Chicago Cubs on opening day. He'll face J.P. Crawford, Cesar Hernandez, and Carlos Santana. 9-1-2 for the Phils, who are up 5-0 here in the 8th inning.
I think today might be the perfect day for Guerrero and that 96 to 98, sometimes 99 mile an hour fastball. Don't worry about the slider right now. Go after these Phillies hitters. These cold temperatures. Just throw strikes in. Let it ride. Guerrero fastball and a slider. As I mentioned, a good fastball.
There's that fastball at 96 miles an hour. Goes right by him.
Well, as a hitter, you're trying to get it in gear, and as the game goes on and the temperatures drop a little bit in the shadows, it's no easy task facing high velocity. It never is, but it's even harder when the temperatures aren't in your favor. That's another example of it right there. So what do you think you should throw right here, Paul?
I am usually not good at this, but I'm going to go with fastball.
I'm with you.
There's the old #1 from Tomas Talí. Hey, I've got the Marlins signs. They're that simple.
Just stay with me, pal.
I will. First strike.
I promise to work with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Again, an overpowering at bat from Guerrero. 3 consecutive fastballs, starting a 2-0 pitch. Just overmatches J.P. Crawford. It was almost the same reaction from him on his swing and through his swing path on all 3 pitches as he's looking back and the ball's by him. You need to be a little more careful with Carlos Hernandez. He is a pretty good hitter and can hit the fastball, but still I think it's the game plan.
Cesar Hernandez has reached base safely all 4 trips today. He walked and scored back in the 1st, walked in the 2nd, singled and stole a base in the 4th, reached on an error, stole a base, and was caught stealing in the 6th. Anderson plays him a step on the grass at 3rd. Hector Neris loosens for the Phillies. Lined into the seats down the 3rd baseline.
Pitch from Guerrero coming to Hernandez. So nothing but fastballs from Guerrero. 10 pitches. Expect the 11th to be the same.
And it was. An interesting note in the Phillies game notes today. We talked so much about the youth of the Miami Marlins and, you know, how a lot of new faces, a lot of rookies, 12 guys on the opening day roster for the first time. Well, the Phillies, in fact, are the youngest opening day roster in the majors. So they open the season with their 25-man roster, 26 years and 334 days old on average. That was the youngest 25-man roster on the opening day in the majors. The Phillies are followed by the Reds and then the Marlins. So the Marlins, the third youngest opening day roster.
Well, we used to blame that on Ichiro. Can't do that anymore.
That's right, yeah. Screws up the median age. As Hernandez draws the walk, it's time for tonight's Coors Light Refreshing Finish. And Nick Pivetta finished off 9 batters by way of the strikeout today. He was excellent. And Marlins certainly can attest to that.
Well, it's unavoidable. The young Canadian, right? We're talking about frigid temperatures, was on his game today and really no problem with the grip of the baseball as we saw a bevy of sliders and curveballs out of the hand of Pivetta. It was outstanding. Nice job. As mentioned a little bit early on in spring training, he was trying to work both the top of the strike zone, get vertical with his four-seam fastball, both low and high. Effectively did that today, and again, not too many. I counted 4 today hard hit balls against Pivetta in his near 6 innings of work. No walks.
Infield swung around for Carlos Santana, who swings through that one, and it is 0-2.
First breaking ball showed up at the right time, didn't it? Carlos Santana was going to come out of his shoes and do his best to redirect the 97-mile-an-hour fastball and an 85-mile-an-hour slider right there.
Marlins Live postgame show coming up. Jessica Blaylock down on the field. Of course, Nick Pivetta, Michael Franco, big days, and we will hear from Don Mattingly after the first road game of the 2018 season for the Marlins. Oh, 2 to Santana. Fouls off another.
The Philadelphia Phillies off to a 1-4 start on a successful road trip. Game in Atlanta. They lost 2 of 2 in New York. They did get snowed out on Monday. They had not won a home opener since 2011. The Houston Astros were still a National League ball club, am I right?
You're right.
I guess that makes some sense. It's been a while since the Philadelphia Phillies have been able to win opening day in Philly. We'll find out. The Marlins only 1 inning left to get anything done.
Franco with a big day today.
Hitting star for the game.
Double shy of the cycle. I think if you asked around a lot of the fans or experts or whatever, they'd probably have the Washington Nationals as the favorites in the National League East. And certainly makes sense. Mets are off to a good start. The Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies, those two teams are thought by many to be, you know, surprise potential type clubs. And it's amazing. We're only, what, 5 games into the season for the Philadelphia Phillies. They brought this guy on, Carlos Santana, Sunday starter Jake Arrieta. They went out, they were shopping in this offseason, and yet they come here today. They're booing their manager. You know, and it's only 5 games into the season. So we'll see how many boos turn into cheers if the Phillies are able to finish off the Marlins the way that Guerrero just finished off Santana for out number 2.
99 9 at the top of the zone. Well, listen, this is Philadelphia. You can say what you want about expectations inside the fan base or the way that Philadelphia fans are on the whole. They're in the middle of what I'll call high expectations all the way through the city. I mean, we're talking Villanova basketball won. The Philadelphia Eagles, what'd they do? Super Bowl.
I think they just won a Super Bowl.
Right. You've got the Sixers going to probably be a playoff team. The Flyers doing the exact same thing. I mean, it's like, where are the Phillies and all this? So they're kind of high on sports here in Philadelphia right now, and expectations certainly have been elevated. And I think that's a very fair expectation with this team because of the acquisitions they made. But let's be honest. In all honesty, you're right. I mean, I think you were being kind. The Nationals are the best team in this division. The Mets probably are the second best team in this division. Maybe you make an argument if you want to include maybe Philadelphia in that, or you think Atlanta's taken some steps forward. But look around baseball, and I think that's the idea. Are the Philadelphia Phillies good enough to win a wild card right now? And I guess that's the tough question you've got to answer. I mean, I look out west and I think, it's like last year you got the Rockies. Diamondbacks playing better baseball. The Dodgers aren't going to be the team that we've seen here in the first week of the season. They're going to be better than, I think, what are they, 1-4, 1-5?
Yeah.
And how do the Phillies fit in all of those conversations? Are they better than those wild card teams? So that's where it gets a little dicey. But when you know that the Nats are probably going to at some point, and they are doing this a little bit already, kind of race off and hide. If the Mets are off to a good start, maybe pitching a little bit better. Pitching stays healthy is probably where we should go with that. Can the Philadelphians afford can the Phillies afford a slow start? And I'm not sure they can. And that's where I think that maybe a little bit of what happened on this road trip with some of the ideas behind how they lost factors into the reception that the Phillies manager Gabe Kapler got.
1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs to Scott Kingery. Guerrero deals. That one misses low. And the other thing is that, Gabe Kapler, the Philadelphia Phillies, they came out swinging, and rightfully so. I mean, they've been through some lean years here in Philadelphia. They've turned over the farm system a little bit. They've fortified it. They've made their major league roster better, both with those youngsters. The Hoskins, the Herreras, the Francos, the Kingerys, and then, as we mentioned numerous times, they go out in the free agent market. They add some of those kind of guys too. So it made all the sense in the world for them to come into spring training and talk about big expectations. Why not? I mean, they've had some rough years in Philadelphia.
The hype comes with that activity in free agency. It's how it works. I get it. And the Phillies fans, listen, they pay attention.
3 strikeouts in the inning for Guerrero. Last chance here for the Marlins, down 5-0 in Philly. Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Kubota. For information or to find a Kubota dealer near you, go to Kubota.com. And by your South Florida Honda dealers. Paul Severino, Todd Hollinsworth back for the top of the 9th inning. Opener of a 3-game set between the Marlins and the Phillies. Glad you're with us on this Thursday afternoon. Hector Neris in, the 4th pitcher of the day for the Philadelphia Phillies. 3rd consecutive opening day roster for him out of the Dominican Republic. And we'll try to get the last 3 outs for the Phillies to pick up the victory on their opening day.
Neris. This is not a safe situation for Neris. Picked up 5 saves against the Marlins last season. Knocked around 1 time out, so you see the bloated ERA. Pretty simple with Neris. He's got a good fastball, throws it about half the time, but what he's trying to set up is the split finger fastball. That's the other 50%. Really feature a secondary pitch. Occasionally we throw a slider, but not too often.
That's a pitch for a few days. Last time he was in a big league game was on the 30th of March against Atlanta.
And that's the idea, is to get him into today's game to get some work.
Dietrich chases that one. Handcuffed at first with Santana, but able to complete the strikeout. 1 away here in the 9th inning. That'll bring up Starlin Castro. Castro singled in the 1st, flew out in the 4th and the 6th. That one fouled on first base side, 0-1. Castro came into today with a .353 average against Philadelphia, by far his highest against any opponent. By about 30 or so points ahead of what he hits against the Boston Red Sox. And again, in his first at-bat, got a base hit. 1-for-3 afternoon, shouldn't shift that average too much.
Now, one thing that has really helped this Marlins team, particularly the homestand, was, again, they have not hit for a whole lot of power, only 2 home runs on the season, was the fact that they were taking their walks, high on-base percentage by a good number of guys at the top of the lineup, and it's just not been the case today as Phillies pitching, and goes back to Pivetta, has really set the stage. The Marlins 12 strikeouts today, no walks. As I mentioned, Brian Anderson, more walks and strikeouts coming in. Starlin Castro, the 5 walks as well.
And I'm sure that they want to get more hits, yes. They'd also like to get more hits than with 2 outs. It seems like that's kind of when they starting to get their hits. I mean, they got 4 today. 3 of them have come with 2 outs.
Well, they've only had 1 real scoring opportunity. It's with runners on 2nd and 3rd after the Anderson double. Other than that, it's just really been nothing for the Marlins. Not able to get the lead guys on. But again, just trying to figure out how this offense is going to operate this season. Again, the batting average was okay. I think it was right in the 16th, 17th spot in Major League Baseball early on. Again, you look at them on paper, you know that they don't possess a tremendous amount of power. How are they going to score their runs this season?
Castro out toward right field, back and onto the track to make the catch is Scott Kingery. And the Marlins are down to their last out this afternoon. It's going to be Justin Bohr, singled in the 4th inning. against Nick Pivetta, who went the first 5 2/3 through 97 pitches today. 66 for strikes and had 9 strikeouts. After him, Adam Morgan worked an inning and a third. Luis Garcia worked the 8th. And now Hector Neris trying to finish things off. Hector Neris also a bit gutsy out there today with the short sleeves.
Cold doesn't bother him.
Not at all. Two balls and no strikes to the Marlins first baseman. Moore's hit came the other way, a line drive out toward left field over a wide open left side of the infield. Of course, they always have the shift on this slugger. 3-1.
I remember my first time behind the plate.
Moore out toward right field. And it's going to be Hernandez in shallow right to put that one away for the final out. And Gabe Kapler picks up his first win here in Philadelphia on opening day for the Phillies in 2018. As the Phils shut out the Marlins 5-0 this afternoon.
Well, on a cold day in Philadelphia, the offense just a little bit better for the Phillies than the Marlins, and certainly the pitching there as well. So they're able to stop that 7-year drought of winning on opening day with a 5-0 victory this afternoon.
Two real heroes for the Phillies today. Nick Pivetta, who was great with 9 strikeouts in 5 2/3, and 4 RBIs from Maikel Franco. Marlins Live with Jessica Blaylock on the field after the break, and then Panthers Bruins coming up later tonight.